humanity faces an invisible crisis, one that will empty every grocery store shelf forever. It's not a virus, not climate change, it's something far more fundamental to life itself. The very foundation of all modern agriculture, every plant, every crop, every meal. And the world's accessible supply is running out, faster than anyone admits. This isn't a future problem, the countdown has already begun, for all of us. This silent crisis isn't about rising sea levels or melting ice caps, it's deeper. It's about the very nutrients that make life on Earth possible, the hidden engine. And we have just 50 years of it left, before everything changes forever. By the end, you'll understand why our food system relies on one finite element, and what happens when it's gone. That element is phosphorus, it's in every plant, every cell, every meal you eat. Without it, modern agriculture collapses, and we have less than a century of accessible supply left. The critical truth, 90% of our global food supply depends on one form of phosphorus, mined from ancient seabeds. Remember what's running out? This raw, irreplaceable element is that defines our future survival. What scientists discovered in the 1990s changed everything about this element, and it's far worse than you think. For millennia, phosphorus recycled naturally, then we invented modern farming, and everything changed. In the early 20th century, scientists realized synthetic fertilizers could revolutionize food production. This required massive amounts of phosphorus, turning it from a local resource to a global commodity. Today, 80% of the world's accessible phosphorus comes from just 5 countries, primarily Morocco. What happens if one nation controls the world's food supply? The geopolitical stakes are impossibly high. We're extracting it from a handful of mines, the biggest is the Charybga mine in Morocco. The world uses about 45 million tons of elemental phosphorus annually, that's enough to fill a football stadium. Yet, much of this precious resource is wasted, washed away from fields into rivers and oceans. This runoff causes toxic algal blooms, killing marine life and polluting drinking water supplies. The peak phosphorus theory predicts a maximum extraction rate, after which supplies will inevitably decline. Many experts believe we will hit this peak within the next 50 to 70 years, some say even sooner. Imagine a world where the most basic ingredient for growing food becomes a luxury, then vanishes. This isn't just about scarcity, it's about the quality of the remaining reserves, they are increasingly impure. Extracting these lower-grade reserves is far more expensive, energy-intensive, and environmentally damaging. The cost of food will skyrocket, billions will be priced out of basic sustenance, starting with the poorest. What I haven't told you yet is the part that makes everything worse, our waste systems are part of the problem. We literally flush billions of tons of phosphorus down the drain every year, it's in our sewage. Our current infrastructure isn't designed to recover it, it's a one-way street from mine to farm to drain. This unsustainable cycle means we are not only depleting our reserves but also polluting our ecosystems. The amount of phosphorus in human waste could meet a significant portion of agricultural demand if recovered efficiently. But the technology and infrastructure for large-scale recovery are largely absent, or too costly for widespread adoption. Some countries, like Sweden, are leading the way with pilot programs, but it's a tiny fraction of what's needed. The clock is ticking, every harvest, every meal, brings us closer to a future few are prepared for. And the consequences of ignoring this invisible crisis are almost impossible to comprehend. When phosphorus runs out, crop yields plummet, not by a little, but catastrophically. We're talking widespread, global famine on a scale never before witnessed in human history. Even if climate change were solved, this crisis alone could devastate human civilization. Imagine food riots, mass migrations, and nation-states collapsing under the strain of starvation. The UN projects the global population to reach nearly 10 billion by 2050, more mouths, less food. This isn't just an abstract scientific problem, it's a direct threat to every single person on Earth. A typical human body contains about 700 grams of phosphorus, mostly in bones and teeth. Farmers will be forced to choose between feeding their families or trying to grow crops without vital nutrients. Land will become barren, water scarcity will worsen as more land is converted for less productive farming. The price of phosphorus has already seen dramatic spikes, foreshadowing future instability and conflict. Countries that lack their own reserves will become entirely dependent on the few nations that do. This creates a new kind of resource war, fought not over oil, but over the very building blocks of life. Think of the historical famines, like the Irish potato famine, amplified 1,000-fold across continents. The desperation would drive humanity to unthinkable extremes, erasing decades of progress and stability. This crisis is insidious because it operates silently, beneath the soil, out of sight until it's too late. Unlike a sudden earthquake, the phosphorus crisis is a slow-motion disaster, almost impossible to react to once it hits. Some scientists are exploring extraterrestrial sources, like asteroids, for future phosphorus mining. But such solutions are decades, perhaps centuries, away from being viable for global agriculture. The immediate threat remains rooted in our current consumption patterns and lack of sustainable practices. Without a radical shift, the next 50 years will redefine humanity's relationship with its most basic needs. The question isn't if peak phosphorus will happen, but how devastating its arrival will be. And what will you eat when the grocery store shelves are empty and the fields are bare? This isn't science fiction, this is the projected reality by leading geologists and agricultural scientists. The solution isn't about finding more land, it's about making the land we have endlessly productive. But that requires rethinking our entire relationship with this vital, vanishing element. Every meal you consume is a part of this global equation, and that fact is terrifying. But there is hope, if we act now. The key lies in radical recycling. We must close the loop, recovering phosphorus from our waste. Technologies exist to extract phosphorus from wastewater, turning sewage into a valuable resource. Sustainable farming practices, like precision agriculture, can reduce phosphorus use by up to 30%. Crop rotation and cover cropping can naturally replenish soil nutrients, lessening the demand for synthetic fertilizers. Policy changes are crucial, incentivizing farmers and municipalities to adopt these circular economy approaches. Investment in research and development for new, efficient recovery methods is urgently needed, right now. The future of food security depends on our collective will to change, before it's too late. This isn't just a government problem, it's a human problem requiring a global solution. We have 50 years, maybe less, to redefine our relationship with the planet's most critical element. The choice is clear: innovation and sustainability, or an unimaginable global famine. Understanding this silent crisis is the first step. Share this knowledge, demand action. Because our future, and the future of every meal, depends on how we manage phosphorus today. Don't let the invisible crisis become humanity's greatest, most preventable disaster.